I don't know why I feel like so nervous to film this. I haven't filmed anything in quite a while, as you've probably noticed. What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time, I hope you're all doing well. So today's video is going to be like a super chatty, casual chit chat hangout, get ready with me. I'm currently on the floor of my bathroom, and so I apologize if it's echoey in here. This is my first time filming in here, and I really just wanted to like be able to have a sit down catch up video with you guys, tell you sort of what's been going on with me, where I've been, answer some questions and topics that you guys are curious about, and just catch up. I'm like, it's been such a, I don't know what even the word would be, but I feel like it's been a whirlwind of a year for us, and I'm trying to bounce back into like normal life and get back into the hang of things because I've kind of been out of it and kind of in a funk this year, which I'll talk about. Part of me jumping back into it is like creating regular content for you guys, and that starts with this Q&A because it feels kind of weird whenever I'm gone for a couple weeks or gone for a period of time and then I'm jumping back in just like out of nowhere. So yeah, I've got my water in my 5th Stanley cup. I now own 5 of these. I know. It's ridiculous. And I've got my lunch here, so we're multitasking today. I asked on Instagram if you guys had any questions or anything you wanted me to cover, and I'm kind of using that as a basis, but there also are a few topics I just wanted to like generally catch up with you guys. Also, I don't know if I'll necessarily like walk through all the products I'm using today because my makeup is such a mess right now, but if you're curious about anything, let me know. I could always like do a more like a separate video just on my makeup routine. I think I have one up from a couple years ago and my routine has been the exact same ever since then. So first things first, we did move, like you can see in my background here. We moved into our new house. I have that moving vlog up, and honestly, the move went well. We are like all settled in now. Everything is over, but it was long. Like when I tell you, this move took like everything out of me. It took a full month. We started moving, we hired movers and they did the bulk of it. They started August 22nd and we got our last load from the old house on September 22nd. It took 1 full calendar month. And part of that is because I was doing a lot of it myself while Jordan was working. He has meetings and business partners and stuff that's just more pressing than what I do. So my stuff can tend to take a back seat and I'm the person to do like all that work when we have something going on like a move. So I was going to the other house a lot, just like a lot of back and forth trips. We ended up having like just so, I think from living there for so long and having kids there and dogs there, and I don't even know, it like being there for, you know, all of 2020 and spending so much time in that house, we just had so much crap. Like I feel like the thing about moving, the hardest part is all of the last minute back and forth trips for like cleaning supplies and junk drawers and, you know, cabinets that you didn't realize you didn't pack up and all that stuff. It just took forever. So I'm very, very glad to be through that, but that also like partially delayed me making content and just like getting, you know, back into the swing of things. And when you're moving, you feel so gross and you're like rushing. We needed to get the place like ready to turn back. Our landlords, even though we had several weeks left, they were like pressuring us to get in there and start getting work done and the whole thing. So I was just like trying to like haul ass and get everything out of there and be done with that chapter, and we're very glad to be in our new house. Kind of the second update I wanted to share about that is, I know in my moving vlog I mentioned that I filmed an empty house tour, and that is something I filmed. So I have all the content from that from before we moved in here. I wanted to get that. Also, my brushes are so dirty, so just like don't judge these, okay? I fully was hoping to clean them before sitting down and doing this video, and life got in the way. But anyway, so I did film like an empty house tour before we started moving our stuff in, and I shared this on Instagram, so if you follow me there, this might be a repeat for you, but I have decided to put that on hold. Like I'm not going to be sharing the house tour right now or maybe ever, because there's just been like some scary like safety stuff going on lately, both with us and like locally. I don't want to give like too many details away just because it kind of makes it obvious where we live if I talk too much about it, but there have been a lot of burglaries in Orange County lately, and it's just like super scary, and I don't want to risk like our house getting broken into just for the sake of having a video on YouTube. It's just like so not worth it to me. And I've been thinking like I could get creative with the editing, and I could like, you know, reorganize the order of the rooms and stuff like that. And maybe that's something I'll do when I have like the mental capacity for it or the time. We've just been so busy, like frankly, I haven't really had the time, but it also just like, I don't know, I'm trying to find that balance between like showing the exciting parts of the house because we love it and we're so proud of it. And you know, it is my life. I want to share it, but at the same time, it's scary when your job is sharing your life and then you also are trying to like maintain some privacy and safety there. So yeah, it's overall like the tour of the house right now is just like not in the cards. It's not like, I just was like, now is not the time to put a tour of my house on the internet for anybody to see. On top of that, I also, when we did move in, and I know I mentioned it in that video that I wanted to do the empty house tour, I got a lot of messages from some of you guys, mostly on Instagram, but you know, like DMs, basically pleading for me not to post a tour, which for the same reason, for safety and for, you know, anybody being able to track down where you live, and then all of a sudden they have like basically a map to the inside of your house. Like, and the messages were so sweet and so thoughtful, and I really truly appreciate how everybody who sent one, like they took time out of their day to message me about my family's safety, and like that, it's like so heartwarming in one instance, and at the same time it like took my anxiety up to like a 10. Like, we're brand new in this house, we're hearing about burglaries in our area, people online are telling me like a ton of details of like why I shouldn't post, and I had already decided not to, but it just was like reiterating that. And I just was, our first couple weeks in this house were just like super anxiety ridden for me, and that's partially why, like, one, why I haven't shown the house, and two, why, you know, I kind of stopped posting for a little bit because I just was focused on like trying to get my mind in the right spot, trying to take care of our family, enjoy our new space, handle the move, like, you know, on top of any other things we have going on in life. It just got to be really overwhelming. And I'm not gonna lie, when we first moved into the house, like the news locally and then all the messages online, which like I said, I know they were from a good place, so that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying they were intended to like bully or be negative at all. That's not the case at all. But just bringing it to my attention so much, like, just got me feeling really on edge. So safety is the biggest thing. Like, I'm not trying to be secretive. I'm not trying to, I don't know, do like a bait and switch with being like, we moved into this beautiful house and now you don't ever get to see it. It's not that at all. Like, I'll definitely share parts of it as it like comes up organically. I'm just not gonna put a tour of the house up, because it just doesn't feel necessary to me right now. On top of that, and this is something that like, I like feel so stupid even talking about this. I really feel, and I thought about it a lot, and I don't want to like make it a thing, but putting yourself online, as you can expect, it sort of opens the door for certain types of creeps and harassment that you don't ask for. And I do have one individual in particular who I would say is like a cyber stalker for years now, goes away, comes back. I haven't wanted to say anything because frankly, I don't want to give him any attention. I'm like trying to handle it myself and just ignore and block. But this person sort of came out of the woodworks, and I'm sure he's watching this, which is why it's so annoying to even talk about it. But I just want to be honest with you guys because I should probably blend in my concealer. I just want to be honest with you guys about it because part of like my fright and anxiety when we moved into this house stemmed from this person making themselves known again. And it, like, I don't think the timing was purposeful, but that it did coincide with, you know, local burglaries, with people DMing me online, talking about safety stuff. And then all of a sudden it's sort of like my cyber stalker reappears. And this is somebody who is like, I won't even get into all of it. And most of the messages I don't even look at because they're disgusting and a waste of my time. But the ones I have seen are, I mean, it's sexual harassment. It's like sexualizing me and other people nonstop. And just like a contact that's not wanted and that is violating and persistent, like every day. So when this stuff started coming up, while like other safety stuff locally was coming up, I just was like, I don't feel safe and I don't want to make myself more of a target than I apparently already am. And like I said, I wouldn't even be talking about it. One, because I know there's people who are watching this who are gonna be like, well, you put your life online, that's what you get for, like, you ask for it. And I'm not saying that's not the case. I am aware of that. But what I am saying is I'm trying to explain a bit of where I've been coming from, because me like sort of taking a step back from social media and from sharing so openly about my life, it has now like impacted my career. It's impacted my job. And this last year, it was like, I feel like the first like 75% of the year, I was recovering from our miscarriage and emotionally dealing with that, and in like a much darker depression than I shared on here with anybody really. And pretty much only Jordan knew how bad the depression was. And that has partially been causing me to, you know, not feel, which I'll talk more about in a second, but that's been partially causing me to like not create content quite as often. And then once I start rebounding from that, this other stuff comes up and it also makes me like not feel totally confident or comfortable creating content. And that combination, it's like, because of that, I've been so like up and down and MIA this whole calendar year. And if you follow me on here, you've probably noticed that. It's like, I'll put out a video like this that's like, life update, I'm back. And I really intend for that to be the case. And then something else pops up and I like, it's like crippling mentally for me. And I have a hard time slapping on a happy face and moving forward like nothing's going on, the way other influencers or bloggers or people on social media do it. Like, I honestly, the people who like post all day long every day, I'm amazed by them, because it's not like they don't have anything going on in their lives. They just don't let it impact their like presence on screen, you know? And for me, I have a really hard time separating that, I've learned this year. So, plus just the bullshit of like, when you do come back and make an effort, then you hear from people that, you know, you're not relatable enough, or you're doing too many sponsorships, or like, beware, this video has an ad in it, so don't watch it. Or, you know, like, you can just never satisfy everybody. And I haven't been in a place this year where I couldn't even focus on satisfying one person. All I could focus on is keeping myself going day to day and taking care of my kids every day. And now I'm gonna get emotional, but like, I've been focused this year on like making sure I continue to show up for my kids and my husband and myself, and like everything else has kind of had to take a backseat. And like I said, then it feels like once I do sort of pull myself out of that rut, the safety stuff starts getting scary, and then I'm like questioning everything about how I operate on the internet. So that's a very long-winded explanation, but I basically just wanted to share it with you guys, because like I said, I feel weird with like sort of the inconsistency in my presence this year. I'm sure other people feel that. And I just wanted to explain it a little bit so it isn't such a, like, so I don't look like a flake. And also, and I don't know, it's just like, it's part of my story and part of how this year has played out. The miscarriage stuff, I feel like I've talked about a lot, and so I don't want to like keep going back to it. You know, I've seen things online people on the internet can be so like horrific, but I've seen people online talking about other people who miscarried, like other YouTubers or whoever. And I don't know if this has been said about me because I don't look anything about myself up, but I've seen people talking about other people, like in comment sections and stuff, saying how they're like milking their miscarriage and they're, you know, trying to get something out of it. And I never want people to feel that way about me or my loss. Like, I never want to turn our loss into something that is this, like, I don't know, thing that people could say that about. Like, but the reality is, like, it has made this last year really hard. And now it's October, and like, I was supposed to be due this month, which Arlo has been like insane. He's 2.5 now, and I'll have to make a whole nother video about that. He is like in the thick of 2.5. And so like, I partially feel like I can see why it wasn't meant to work out, because if we had a newborn coming home right now, we would be struggling with all of the big emotions Arlo is feeling right now. But I digress. So either way, like, this year, there's so many complicated emotions that come with recovering emotionally from something like that. And it's not as quick as a like, oh, we'll jump back into trying to conceive. Or also, somebody said they didn't like the highlight on my nose. It's not flattering, but like, here you go. Like, I like it. So you don't have to put it on your nose if you don't want to. I'm sorry, while I was doing it, I just had to. But like, there's so much that comes with the grief of that kind of loss, and it, like, about any loss really, and it's so true with grief. Like, it really does come in waves. And so I think that's partially also why you probably have seen me be like, oh, I'm back, I was super depressed, but now I'm feeling better. And then I put that video out, and then like a month later, I'm super depressed again. And it's like, it's not just related to the miscarriage itself, it's related to every pregnancy announcement you see, every time you open Instagram, and it's like, boom, another, you know, ultrasound, or a close family member who's expecting, and, you know, trying to be there for them while also trying to be there for yourself. Like, it's all the things you don't expect and you don't think about that come up that kind of like can bring you back down. And that's sort of what I have been going through over the last few months. I will say, I feel like I'm in a place now where I have finally reached acceptance. Like, you know, there's the 5 stages of grief, and like, I definitely felt angry amongst all the other things I just mentioned, but now I'm at a place, like I said, where it's like, I still am a believer in everything happening for a reason. I see why it wasn't meant to happen for our family at that time, and our boys now really need us in different ways. Like, their development and their emotions right now are in very different places, but both need a lot of attention. And I could also do a whole other video on sort of like the emotional recovery from that, but I really do feel like I've reached this place of like acceptance and understanding a little bit, and just like trusting that is like what is meant to be will be. Hey guys, sorry to cut in like this, but after I filmed this like whole chatty catch-up video, I realized that there were a couple things I feel like I didn't like elaborate or touch on quite as much as I wish I would have. So one of the things I wanted to talk about when it comes to the miscarriage is that I feel like everybody processes grief differently, and for me, one of the ways to process and recover was really to like withdraw from everything. Like, you would think it's a time when you want to like rely on everybody, and that, you know, you want to lean on people, and that is the advice I would give to somebody if, you know, they're going through it and I'm suggesting how to deal with it. I would say lean on the people around you, but the reality is that, like, for me, that's not what I did. I pulled back, and I kind of needed that in the moment, both pulling back from social media, and also I even like I felt like I withdrew from like my friends, my family. I didn't open up to the people I normally do as much as I probably should have, or as much as they would have liked me to. But that was the reality of like how I handled it. And so you guys probably felt that too, me like pulling back, me not interacting as much. Like when you're that depressed, whether it's about grief or about something else, there are days when you literally are just trying to make it to the end of the day. And like, if that's laying in bed, or for me, it was like laying on the couch and reading a book and distracting myself. Like if that's what you need to do to take care of yourself, that's okay. And yes, it's important to like get help and to do the steps to recover. But at the same time, sometimes like this was something that like I really felt like I just needed to like feel, you know, like sit in my feelings and feel them before I could get to that point of acceptance and moving on. And at a certain point, I hit a point where I was like, I'm just sick of talking about it. Like, and I think people around me were sick of me talking about it. You know, I got a couple like snotty comments online, as you always do about everything, but I got a couple snotty comments. You know, you feel that your audience or whoever, don't mind her. People online, like as bad as it sounds and as like unfortunate as it is, they don't like hearing sad stuff. They don't like seeing sad stuff in their feed. You know, I get a lot of positive reinforcement about people liking when I'm real, but at the same time, it's like when things get too real, I saw that reflected in, and I hate to even say it this way because it's like, the miscarriage was not about that, but the reality is my job is about engagement and views and brand deals, and all of those things tanked when I miscarried, including brand deals. And that was something I was now dealing with, was like the psychological fallout of losing a baby, and also people losing interest and brands not wanting to work with me. I had people pull out of deals we were in, and it's not a thing companies want to be associated with, because it's easy to associate themselves with somebody when they're growing their family and everything's happy-go-lucky, but they don't want to sponsor somebody who is dealing with trauma or loss. And I share this because it's like an example, I think, of like, you don't know what someone's going through. And just because I wasn't here all the time, or I wasn't sharing these things, doesn't mean I wasn't like going through a lot of shit behind the scenes. And that's the case with anybody, you know, like everybody you pass on the street has a whole life outside of that one moment you see them in. And it got really hard. And for me, it's really hard to share when I'm in that tough of a spot. And you know, I've been honest on here and shared about my postpartum depression. I've been honest, you know, when my friend took her own life, and I shared that. And I've shared a lot of my really low points, but at the same time, there's a lot of my low points I haven't shared on here. And the lowest ones sometimes are when it's hardest to open up. And it's hard to paste on a happy face. For me, at least, it was hard to paste on a happy face and go about my 9-to-5, which is this, content creating, to go about that as if nothing was happening, when actually my entire universe was altered and changing and crumbling a bit in the background. That's a very long-winded answer, but I felt like it was important to kind of add that context, as dramatic as it may seem, because that's the reality of what I was dealing with. And when I filmed this Get Ready With Me, I don't think I was quite as honest or as raw as I wish I would have been. And when I thought about it after, I was like, you know what? I want to expand on that. And I also think it's really important to share. It's like twofold. It's like you need to take care of yourself and be a little selfish with yourself in those moments, and not worry about all the outside stuff, because you're trying to get through it and take care of yourself. And in my case, take care of your kids, or my kids, you know. But at the same time, now that I'm through it and I'm kind of out the other side, I want to share insight into those darker moments, because I also don't want anyone to feel alone if they're feeling that way. And I think part of having this platform that's really special is that I can kind of normalize people having normal issues, you know? Like social media has such a way of like glamorizing everything, like even motherhood, even the ugly parts of motherhood, it like all becomes this kind of funny reel or quick TikTok, and it leads to views and blah, blah, blah. But like, the reality is like, it's a human underneath that layer, and sometimes we forget that. And so if you are ever going through that dark of a time, if you have a loss, if you have something you're dealing with, and you look at people online and you're thinking like, God, why do they have it together and I don't? Just know that like, there are people like me who do not have it together. And most likely the people you see online also don't have it together. They might just be better at masking it than say I am or somebody else. So that's another reason why I want to kind of get like descriptive with it now, is just so that we can stop putting this pressure on ourselves to operate in a certain way. Like sometimes if you need to just withdraw and feel your feelings and take your time getting over them, that's 100% okay. And take care of yourself in the meantime, and that's all you can do. Like put one foot in front of the other until you feel like you're walking. I know I'm gonna cry again. One foot in front of the other until you are walking at your normal pace again and it feels normal. And I promise you, even if you can't see it, you will walk again, you will run again, whether that's physically or metaphorically, you know, just one foot in front of the other. That's all you can focus on sometimes, and then you will get there. And it might be hard to see and it might seem impossible, but allow yourself to take the time to do what you need to do, to grieve as you need to grieve, to recover as you need to recover, to feel your feelings in whatever way is true to you. Take those steps and you will make it back to how you felt before. And so that I think is kind of helping me just, well, like I'm at this point where I feel like I've wasted this whole year. Like, I don't want to say like waiting for the next chapter, because I don't really even know how to explain it. Like I've spent this whole year just sort of in a daze, you know, like I really have been like just trying to get by, just trying to feel better, trying to like work out or do self-care or focus on the kids or do whatever I can to like get through that day and on to the next day. And then it's like, boom, before I know it, we're halfway through October and I feel like I don't even remember this year really. And I've sort of, and that's what depression is. Like that's what it does. And I want to sort of like take back control of my life a bit. And that's partially why I'm making this and being so like brutally honest about all this, because I know I'm not alone in that feeling. I know a lot of people feel that way when they're depressed, and I know recovering from a loss, I've even heard from a lot of you guys, it is one of those things where it's like you just don't know where to go and you just don't know what to do from there. And I think that's kind of what I spent this year doing, like figuring out how to move forward and how to be happy again, you know, and how to find that like acceptance. And I really do feel like I found it. I'm not just like bullshitting. But at the same time, like I said, it's like once I found the acceptance, then things got a little scary otherwise. And I just sort of needed a beat to feel comfortable and like confident enough to get back on here. On top of that, like all of that is just one side, but then on top of that, my mom was just out here for a couple weeks. She came out for 2.5 weeks. So I was just like, she came the day after our last trip from our old house. So once she was here, I really just wanted to focus on that trip. We had a lot of stuff going on while she was here. It wasn't the kind of visit where, you know, we'd be like filming or doing fun things. It was like more focused on other things and for like family time. And so it just wasn't my priority to share that over the couple weeks she was here. So that also kind of contributed to me like taking a step back just so I could focus on her being here and taking care of her and like being present for her visit and all that stuff. But now she's back in Iowa. She went back home. And I'm just sort of like excited to have our normal routine and our normal like family time. I just made this worse, but you know, get into some like, oh my gosh, and then I just got on my chin or on my cheek too. This is a mess. This is why I don't do my makeup anymore. I don't even know what I'm saying. Get into what? No, I don't know. But I'm excited for the holidays and to sort of move into the next couple months and have our more like set routine here in this house. The boys have been so busy and are such like big kids now. So Arlo has moved into preschool this school year. Christian is now in pre-K. Christian does soccer and swim class after school, and he's got like his little best friend that we get together with like multiple times a week, and him and Arlo are fighting constantly and wrestling constantly, but then also really sweet. Like they really are like best friends too, and they play together, and they'll like go up in their room and just like play all by themselves. And they play this game called, they call it Baby, and Christian will be like, Arlo, do you want to go play Baby? And Christian is the daddy and Arlo is the baby, and they go up in their room and Christian will like tuck him into bed and play parent with him. It's super cute. So they have gotten to be these like, this pencil is like not sharpened at all. I'm sure someone will comment on my lip liner and be like, that's not flattering on you. But they have gotten to be these just like rowdy, crazy little boys, and they keep us busy. But yeah, we're focused on them and sort of like the next chapter for them and the next chapter for us. And I am so ready for the holidays. I feel like I totally missed the boat with fall this year because we were so focused on the move. And like I said, then it's like, boom, it's October. I like bought pumpkins for the kids' classrooms, but not for our house at all. So I'm pretty much just like skipping fall and just gonna move right into Christmas. And I'm excited for the holidays and just like so ready for 2023. Like I'm ready for this year to be over, but I'm living in the present. I will not let myself focus on like the next thing too much because I really just don't want to feel like the time in front of me is passing me by. But yeah, that's kind of everything that's been going on with us. And I just realized I really did get questions from you guys on Instagram, but now I've talked so long, this video so long already, so I think I'll just answer those on Instagram instead of putting them in a Q&A here, because clearly I had a lot I wanted to get off my chest. Anyway, so also for those curious about our podcast, we would definitely like to bring it back now that we're in the new house. We've been talking about it for a little while actually, but it was hard. It was like all of our equipment for the podcast was like one of our first things I packed up in the move because we weren't making episodes, but I would like to get back into it. So I do get asked about that a lot, which means a lot to me because I really didn't think people like it's not that I didn't think people listened to it, but I didn't think people were that interested. So to hear all the interest that there has been since we have taken like a hiatus again, because we seem to take a lot of those this year from a lot of things, but it means a lot. So we would definitely like to be making new episodes for that again. So if there's any like topics you'd like us to cover or anything like that, let me know. And when I do bring it back, I would like to start putting videos of them on YouTube as well too, like just as sort of a bonus episode every week or a bonus YouTube video every week, because that's something I always wanted to do and I just never had like the capacity or the space for it. Like we were recording them in such sort of like a little bootleg setup. It wasn't something that was practical for filming, but in our new place, I have my own office. Like we have a setup that would actually work. So in terms of dates, TBD, but I'm thinking maybe after the new year or something, or maybe even sooner. It'd be nice if we could do it sooner, but we will be traveling for the holidays. So we'll see a little bit there. But long story short, podcast will be coming back. So let me know what you'd like us to talk about. I think that'll be it for this update video. We are getting ready to go take the boys to Chuck E. Cheese after school. And I am going to be doing like a boys clothing haul. I've got a bunch of stuff for the kids for picture day and like holiday photo shoots and stuff like that. So I thought I would film a video on that. And also a very late 2-year update for Arlo. So if there's anything you want me to talk about in that video, let me know. And anything you'd like to see in future videos, I am all ears as well too. I hope you guys liked this catch up video. Thank you for like bearing with me and just being here through thick and thin. I really appreciate it. And I promise you will be seeing a lot more of me from here on out. So I love you guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye.